Welcome in, sorcerers. This morning, I want to talk to you about my new deck, Interrogator. Interrogator is a avatar with 20 health and 1 power and sweet Anson Maddox art. Anson Maddox is a favorite artist of mine back from the MTG days, the old MTG days. He did Maze of Ith and Singer Vampire, which I'll show some images of up here. And this avatar reads, whenever an ally strikes an enemy avatar, draw a spell unless they pay 3 life. So it gives your enemies a choice, which I'm not always a fan of, but if you can kind of hit them enough times, they will eventually relent and sort of give you the card draw that you've so desperately started seeking. This is not the most professional competitive version. This is my first version of the avatar. I wanted to something to sort of break me out of the Archimago role in my LGS. And so this will give some people there a reprieve. But I find this deck pretty fun. It has some real silly stuff inside. And so I hope you enjoy. And it's certainly no slouch. So without further ado, let's go ahead and deep dive into the deck. I have a collection for it. We'll go over that at the end. Here's my mana base. We'll talk about that very briefly. But first, we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the deck. And some of these cards are going to be unbudget friendly, but I will certainly post some extra lists in the description. Some budget, some not, so that I'll try to keep this focused on both intermediate and new players, so that you can both learn something if you're old or new to the game. So Interrogator, I like to have some extra mana rocks. I don't have any cores in this deck, but what I do have is I have 2 different colors. This is a fire and an air list. So I run Key to the City simply as a mana rock. And it says bearer ignores sight abilities. That may or may not come in handy. Who knows if you're going to march your Interrogator across the board or have it ride a horse across the board. Maybe so, just in some epic battle. But yeah, maybe you want to avoid a troll bridge at some point. But mostly it's just there to make the extra mana. This is to reduce. You have about evenly numbers of fire and air thresholded spells. So Philosopher's Stone for 1 mana allows you to reduce the cost of 1 of each on your turn. Then I have Shrine of the Dragon Lord as my final sort of mana producing thing. Genesis teleport all dragons here. There are no dragons. Well, there's 2 dragons in the deck. I take that back. This site provides an additional 1 mana and an additional threshold of each color. Normally you'd find this in like a 4-color, 3-color deck, or 3-element deck, but I don't have one of those right now. And so this is acting sort of like a small, like early turn mana producing suite. Then we start with the aggressive creatures. Interrogator decks are known for being pretty hyper aggressive, and so they ride into red often. Let's keep Interrogator there on the side so you can kind of look at them. So we run 4 of Wild Fanatic, one of red's staple aggressive creatures. 2 mana, 1 fire threshold, 2 power, charge minion. Just an ordinary little dude jumping off of a cliff. Imagine the dude from Fury Road who just leaps into battle. That's what this guy is. He just, if you want to exchange him for card draw, just run him straight into an avatar. Most avatars have 1 power, so if you can get him up that fast, do. Warhorse, one of the best 2-drops in the game. I unfortunately only have 2 extra, and so I'm running 2 Warhorse in the deck. Warhorse is incredible because it gives you the ability to carry an ally, your avatar, or another ally up an additional space. So it kind of gives something an extra movement if you need to. Yeah, just a lot of flexibility. You can carry other things in decks like Pudge Butcher, stuff like that can't normally move. Yeah, so very, very useful. But in this deck, yeah, it's just fast and moves. A lot of charged minions in this deck. We have 1 singular monstrous lion. This minions interesting. It's 4 mana, 4 power, so pretty powerful, and it has charge, but it cannot attack sites. It has to attack either an avatar or minions. So if you're going second, this is a pretty good minion to put out if they already have some guys out. Otherwise, it just kind of runs forward and starts to go after their avatar solely, which is fine because that's what you want to do. One of the turn 2 plays you can play, but it's very difficult to pull off, and if you have to draw the right types of sites, is a turn 2 red cap Poweries for 3 mana but 2 fire threshold, 3 power. Exceptional fairies of Blood-Sought Fury. They have charge. If red cap Poweries have an attack by the end of your turn, they die. Now, that's a turn 2 play if you're on the draw. So you're going second, and they play out aggressively towards you. Your turn 2, you meet them in the middle of the battlefield, and you get to play your red cap Poweries to this square right here, and then attack into their site if you have the right mana to do so. But yeah, in that special situation, pretty aggressive, but pretty awesome. Another great 3 mana exceptional that we have in this deck, Quarrelsome Kobolds, 3 mana, 2 power, exceptional goblins, raise a ruckus. Maybe I think the only goblins in all of sorcery so far. At the end of your turn, Quarrelsome Kobolds strike themselves or a target adjacent unit. Unit includes avatars, and so this can meet Interrogator's stipulation, which is awesome. So adjacent has to be one of the 4 cardinal directions, and therefore, you can just park these right next to the enemy avatar and start trying to draw some cards off of these things. And I'll keep those to the side because we have some tricks we can do with these. Colicky Dragonettes. These are the 2 dragons we had earlier. 3 power, 3 mana. Exceptional dragons, disgorge, dollops of flame. At the end of your turn, Colicky Dragonettes shoot a projectile. It deals 1 damage. We have these to break wards, to kind of break masks on imposter, stuff like that. That 1 damage kind of comes in handy a lot more than maybe you think. Skirmishers of Mu. This is a fun one. I've always wanted to play this card in a deck. I haven't played a lot of air before, so this deck utilizes a lot of air as well as fire, and so we're about to get into that. Skirmishers of Mu is 4 power, or 3 power, but 4 mana. Ranged. During basic movement, Skirmishers of Mu may perform a ranged strike from any location along their path. So effectively, since this is a video for new players as well, this can be very tricky to understand. 1, range shoots in a cardinal direction. Ranged rules are not something that people use all the time, so let's explain it really quickly, and we'll use little fancy arrows to explain. Let's say this Colicky Dragonette is over here. Skirmishers of Mu could tap to shoot a projectile for 3 power in a cardinal direction, either west, north, east, south. Or Skirmishers of Mu could move because of its special ability in a direction, but shoot a projectile anywhere along the path because they are horse riders shooting from horseback, and that's the flavor of these guys. They can move and shoot at the same time. Unlike most projectile firers, they do not have to just tap and stay in the same place. They can shoot on the move, so they can kind of fire and move. And so they can hit the Colicky Dragonettes while firing from, say, here, or if they move from here, they can fire and move and shoot from here as well. So Skirmishers of Mu, pretty fantastic card. I'm pretty certain that projectiles will be able to hit airborne minions as well in an adjacent square. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty certain that works. So that is why I have these guys in the deck. They're mobile, they move around, they can strike things from a distance, and let's go on for more air minions. We have 3 Dapple Vampires, 5 mana, 4 power, airborne. These are the things that keep you alive and look like crazy showgirls. Damage dealt by Dapple Vampire strikes heal you. These things fly around, airborne minions. Airborne, that's what's special about them, is they can move to sort of diagonal squares. So they can do that to defend as well, so long as they're not like flying into a void. You can't fly into or out of a void diagonally. But yeah, pretty awesome, pretty mobile, and gain you a lot of life. And particularly in combination, one of the most basic but most awesome sorcery combinations is coming up, so I'll leave them on the side. And then a card that you don't often see in Interrogator list and probably isn't that great, but I have 2 of them because I was severely lacking card draw and I didn't want to run out of cards. So at my top end, I have 2 old men and they're owls. Grand Master Wizard, one very faded, who smoked a lot of weed, and then another one who is not faded and has not smoked at all. And they both draw 3 spells, and they both do the same job. So these guys will probably be replaced again. Remember, this is the first version of the deck. So there we go. Now, let's get into some of the fun meat and potatoes. We have more creatures on the way, more minions on the way, but I have some fun things to help the minions do their job, which is to basically hit the enemy avatar to draw me more cards. This is a 1 of, because it should be maybe a 2 of in the deck, I'm not sure. It's an elite aura, 3 mana, 2 air thresholds, Sphere of Animosity, an elite aura of deep, dark desperation. Avatars here can't leave, heal, or be defended. So what you want to do with this, obviously, is get that avatar, that enemy avatar, in a place, box them in. Have them in a place where they cannot move out of this 4x4 square. And then all of a sudden they're trapped. And then maybe hit them with one of your minions who is holding the rack, spreading their body whenever the bearer strikes an avatar. Stretch them so that they also occupy another adjacent location. Then they lose 1 life for each location that they occupy. And you can keep stretching the avatar out. They become an oversized unit at that point, and then they start not being able to move through certain areas if they're too large to move through those areas. The rack is insane. It does a ton of damage. Another thing that can help us, these sort of underpowered, like a red cap power, he has 3 power. Well, throw a Torshimar trinket in its hand. Now all of a sudden it can take out your 4 power beaters, much stronger. And so Torshimar trinket, we have a 1 of in the deck to help just toss into the hand of whoever's there, do a little extra damage. This is a 4 of in the deck that I'm about to show you, and I think it's great in this deck in particular because boom, boom, boom. We have a lot of cards here. We have exceptional, and honestly, all these cards can benefit somewhat from this. They're all a little underpowered, but mostly these we run for Gift of the Serpent. These cards replace themselves for 2 mana, 2 fire threshold, give an allied minion lethal this turn, then draw a spell. So it replaces itself, but what it does is it makes the damage from, say, a projectile lethal, or a projectile lethal, or this strike at the end of turn lethal. All of a sudden, the 2 damage this thing would have done, or the 3 or the 1, now becomes something that can take out the largest minion on the board. So very useful. Gift of the Serpent is pretty sweet in this deck. And whereas I thought about using Poisonous Dagger, which is an equipment that can do the same thing and is more permanent, I like the idea that Gift of the Serpent Can be cast on anything, anywhere on the board, and it doesn't leave anything behind. Since these minions are sort of fragile, I wouldn't want an enemy to pick up my poisonous dagger afterward. Then we have our 3 toolboxes, which we'll get into at the end of the deck tech. What those lead to, we'll go ahead and put those over here on top of our collection just to remind us. And then we have just a collection of fun, flavorful. This is maybe a little bit more of a mid-rangey, control-y interrogator list. That's kind of my style of play. And there's some real weird spice in here, including one totally insane combo that has almost no reason to be in here whatsoever other than me being nuts. But it's really funny and I love it. And it feels like it fits the theme of Interrogator to me, because Interrogator to me is an unhinged weirdo. So we have the control-y version of this. I imagine I like the aurification of the realm, controlling the enemy minions while our little fast and agile things are able to move around the board, chasing the avatar, making the realm unhospitable to their stuff. Black Plague will just sort of end, certain reigns of terror, certain squares that you want to if you want to protect your side of the board from their stuff while you're over on their side being very aggressive, you can do it with Black Plague or Great Famine as well. Very similar. On your turn, the strongest minion occupying affected sites dies. Black Plague does just the opposite, so remember which is which as you're playing them. Thunderstorm is a fun, random sort of version of Lightning Bolt, but it just moves and occupies 4 spaces, deal 3 damage to a random unit atop affected sites. It lasts for 3 turns, and so it just sort of moves all around the realm, dealing 3 damage to things that are random. Could even deal damage to their avatars. We have 3 lightning bolts in main, and we have one that's missing because of reasons, which we'll show you in a second. For movement for minions to try and get across the board very fast to get to their avatar, we have a couple of tricks. We have grapple shot, which will fly us across the board immediately. An ally shoots a projectile. If it hits a unit, an ally is dragged to that location and may strike the hit unit when it arrives. Strike is sort of like the ability to hit first without being damaged. So it's very useful. Again, Dapple Vampire, having sort of a life gain ability on her, loves these kinds of effects. And Dapple Vampire, of course, is famously great with this card, Whirling Blades. An ally may take up to 2 steps and then strikes each enemy along their entire path. So famously, Dapple Vampire can take up to 2 steps, boom, boom, and then is able to kill all the minions in the path, dealing an immense amount of damage, gaining a ton of life all at once, and can kind of pull you off of the edge of death's door back to full health sometimes, if the situation is right. So we run 4 Whirling Blades, and these are strikes each, so these would count on enemy avatars for the purposes of the Interrogator trigger. Then, in case we don't have our own minions to do the dirty work, we can use the opponent's minions by casting Infiltrate, one of my new favorite cards. I really like Infiltrate quite a bit. Gain control of target enemy minion until it deals damage, and tap it. It gains stealth. I love giving the opponent's minion a little masquerade ball mask and sending them in with a little knife behind their back to go do our dirty work. Maybe for an end kill shot. Sometimes I'll just cast Infiltrate and just let it linger by the opponent's side of the board, just annoying them, which is fun. Then, because of the more controlling build, I'm a little worried about minions kind of crowding me. I run a lot of aggressive decks, or run into a lot of aggressive decks in my meta. So having Poison Novas on my side of the board is sometimes useful. So I have 2 of those in my deck. Now here's the one-ofs that are very sort of spicy in this deck. and some are totally ridiculous. So here we go. Here's the fun, insane version, or same part of this deck tech. We have a Blaze of Glory. An ally fights each enemy near it one at a time. It doesn't die until it's done. Yeah, I love this as a singular effect. It could potentially win you the game or like save you in like a precarious spot. Sure, it could trigger your avatar's ability, but I just love the flavor of the whole thing. And all of your minions are kind of nuts, so this works out great. Here's a spicy one of I really like. Yes, you don't have a ton of minions, but I imagine you'll have like a couple at least on the board. And so giving all allied minions stealth and then replacing itself, drawing a card Vanishment for 3 mana, seems like such a really cool and tricksy sort of effect in this type of deck. I love all the subterfuge and the flavor of that in sort of an interrogator list. Behind enemy lines is sort of the theme of this deck. So I really enjoy that in this list. Then, as an homage to Nicholas, who's a player at my LGS, who just loves Raze. He just loves burning people's stuff down. And as the behind enemy lines kind of deck, I just figured, sure, why not? Let's put this in here. An ally destroys a site it occupies and all artifacts there. This is just a recognition that sometimes they have an Umphalos, sometimes they have something that's really annoying and you need to get rid of it. We're going to go ahead and put some, or they have a site perhaps that is just really powerful and you need to get rid of it. So send one in your minions, or maybe just take a infiltrate out, get one of their minions to burn their own thing down. Then this one's spicy. Graveyard Hate, Clairvoyant, and I had a sweet foil. Look at that shine. Elite Mortal, sees the unseen. You can get her out early. She's got a ward on her, so she stays protected. Once in your turn, you may banish a dead minion to look at your top spell. You may put it at the bottom. This infinite sort of seer ability, this scry on a creature, I don't know if it's good or not, but drawing the right spell all the time and being able to banish their dead minions all the time seems fun. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I don't know if this is good or not, but I wanted a reason to use the foil, and now I have one. So this next card is often actually in real infiltrator lists, which you'll see, and I have a foil of it as well. Grim Reaper. I've had a foil of this one since one of the first early box openings, and I've always kind of loved it. Now you can use it. 2 mana, 1 power, a unique spirit awaits us all, lethal. Whenever Grim Reaper kills a minion, banish that minion and all copies. Search its owner's cemetery, hand, and spellbook, and banish any copies. They shuffle. This thing gets real crazy, especially when you use it with something like a Whirling Blades. So, yeah, when Grim Reaper and Whirling Blades meet, it has lethal. It gets to fly around the board and strike a bunch of things, and all of a sudden you get to kind of annihilate their entire deck if you hit a bunch of different minions that are fairly common. So, yeah, just, God forbid they have a board full of stuff that they like. And then here is the Wombo combo, and by Wombo, let's give a shout out to the Eternal Dirtles and Common Sense Sorcery Podcast, Phil, who clued me in on this one. I love this Screaming Skull, Grosse Poltergeist. Let's talk about it. An Elite Spirit and Ghost in the Shell, tap. Until Grosse Poltergeist leaves the realm, gain control of a nearby artifact and animate it. It's an automaton with power equal to its cost and has its own bearer abilities. So one thing this does that is not totally ridiculous is that if you are nearby a Ring of Morrigan that someone's carrying, you can turn it into an automaton and that person has to immediately drop it. So it will become an automaton of power 1, and then you can kill it like it's a minion. So that's not totally insane, and then you sort of gain control of it. So that's pretty cool. Now, I don't know if you can keep this thing alive. However, that is something you can do because you force them to drop. People like avatars or creatures, they can't carry other creatures or other minions. So that is something that is interesting about this card that is sort of useful. Now, that's not what I have it in here for, but that's a side case. What I have it in here for, and I have 2 copies just to make sure it happens, I have it in here for is because Spear of Destiny. What's more Interrogator-like than having this insane weapon? 5 mana Spear of Destiny, a unique weapon of divine retribution. Bearer has tap, throw Spear of Destiny at any minion anywhere. It teleports to that minion's location and kills it. So what Grosse Poltergeist does is you just cast it nearby to the Spear of Destiny. It animates the Spear of Destiny, and all of a sudden, the Spear of Destiny becomes a 5 power minion that can tap to throw itself at any minion on the board, killing it immediately, teleporting there, and then next turn it can tap to do that again. And now it's a 5 power minion, so it's pretty big, so it's kind of hard to get rid of. So unless they have something that can just straight up bury it or whatever, they will have a hard time getting rid of this animated, ghastly, horrific spear that is just tapping every turn to remove their biggest threats. So this is in the deck just for sheer madness. I love it. It makes me laugh. There it is. So I knew I would need to remind myself to talk about the toolbox briefly, so that's why I put the toolboxes on top of the collection. Toolboxes search for new people. You sacrifice these. Bearer may cast an ordinary spell from your collection. Bearer being important because if you cast these on a regular minion, remember that the minion is casting this, not your avatar, in case of proximity or something like that. So things we have are Angry Mob. Angry Mob, Genesis, kill target adjacent, unique, or elite minion, and makes a little creature for you. Just a Rock, maybe cast into the hands of a unit carrying an artifact to banish that artifact, great for Ring of Morrigan. Boil, destroy all minions occupying target water site up to 2 steps away. That's why the proximity is important. Minor Explosion, deal 3 damage to each unit at target location up to 2 steps away. This card is in here for specifically people use Ironclad in imposter lists. Ironclad prevents up to 2 damage, and if you need to finish them off, you need to be doing at least 3. So you need to have spells that do 3. We have a Disenchant, destroy all ores and artifacts at target location up to 2 steps away. We have a Lightning Bolt, which also does 3 damage to a random unit, which is a little less sure than the Minor Explosion. We have a Zap, which can often kill our avatars at death's door, 1 damage to target unit. We have a Murder of Crows, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions on the surface. You may cast a spell from your cemetery, banishing it afterward. It gives you that effect twice, which is good for 3 mana in case there's a bunch of tokens on the board. Teleport an ally to the surface of target site. This can get you out of harm's way if you really need it. If you're on death's door, for instance. And a final Grapple Shot, since we didn't have all of them in the main deck. Shoots a projectile. If it hits a unit, the ally is dragged to the location and may strike and hit the unit when it arrives. This is just another way to finish something off if you need to. So that's that. Let's go over the sites really quick, and then we'll be finished with this wondrous deck tech. I hope you guys are having a great day. I was really struggling with what to talk about this week for some reason. That's why this video is coming out a little late, so apologies for that. So I hope you enjoy this. I've been working on this deck for a little bit. I played a little bit this weekend, but it was an Earth build as well, so yeah, I honed it down a little bit before I came on the camera. Darkest Dungeon is a fun land. It's a unique site where darkness holds dominion. Genesis, the next time an ally strikes an avatar this turn, drag both here if able. This is a fun site in an interrogator list in particular because your minions are trying to strike that avatar and you want to get them close to you to just bring them into the dungeon where you can just interrogate more and more and more. Get them close, pull them out of the safety, and yeah, do your dirty work. This is specifically in there for the Spear of Destiny, if I'm being honest. Anyone may conjure weapons and armors here, and for 1 mana less. I needed some extra fire threshold, Dwarven Forge, and I thought, you know, if anyone can cast weapons and armors here, why in the world would your opponent cast weapons and armors here? Just put this right underneath your avatar and see if they want to cast a Ring of Morgan to your site. Sure, do that. Sounds great. Here's some graveyard removal. Funeral Pyre, Genesis, banish up to 3 cards from 1 cemetery. River of Blood halves the healing, which is great. You are aggressive decks and you want to reduce their amount of life they can come back from. Active Volcano is one of the cards you need to be able to get those red cap power returns where you get that thing out on turn 2. You have to have this thing on turn 1 and then have a tower that gives you 2 mana on turn 2, or you have to have like a key to the city or something on turn 1 as well. So you have to have the 2 fire threshold this produces to make that happen. Then we have Plague Pits. Genesis, if there are 3 or more dead minions, banish all cemeteries. This is another graveyard hate spell. You know, use your graveyard a whole bunch. So I have a lot of common or ordinary lands. We have remote deserts, vast deserts, arid deserts, so pretty budget friendly mana base. All these deserts, what they do is Genesis, deal 1 damage to each minion atop target nearby site. This can help take out a bunch of those little token armies that are so prevalent these days in various decks, Necromancer and Archimago and all that stuff. Then we have our duels. We have 3 ruins. These make air and fire. Pretty. Wuthering Heights, just to get some additional movement. Once on your turn, you may fly a minion atop here onto a nearby site. Ideally, what you would want to do is if you're playing, you would want to put this right in front of your avatar so that you start placing minions, you can kind of fly them ahead. You can play them and then move them ahead an additional space and get extra movement pretty much every turn. I only have 1 in the deck. I only own 1 right now, so but it's a $10 card worth getting 2 of if you can, because it's only elite. Fields of Pixis is something in this deck I think is really useful because you're going to come up against Troll Bridges and Thin Ice and all kinds of other cards they're going to try and get you with, and you want to remove those cards from the game. What this site says is the site directly in front of you is silenced. It might even come against like Perilous Bridge, Manor at Dapperel Hill. There's so many sites that are anti-creature, Bottomless Pit. So you want to go ahead and silence those sites, basically take away their effects. This is a exceptional site, so you can run 3. This, if you place your site right in front of theirs, those sites will be nullified. And yeah, this is very useful. But I do run my own Perilous Bridge to try and keep my own avatar safe. So I might run this, put my avatar behind this or something, so I'm a little safer. Then I run double air threshold sites as well, just to get my mana early. And then a collection of towers. I run 2 of each. Getting the first tower is when you get your extra mana. If you get, so Genesis, if this is the only blank tower you control, you gain 1 mana this turn. So when you get the second Dark Tower, the second Gothic Tower, or the second Lone Tower, you don't get the extra mana. So that's why it's kind of pointless to draw the second and third ones. So I only run 2 of each because you only really want to draw 1 in the game. And that is Interrogator. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you have thoughts on this list, if you've run an Interrogator list before, let me know in the comments below how your experience has been with it. I've been having a lot of fun in my early playtests with it. I like the playstyle quite a bit. It's a fun change up from Archimago for me. So having different styles of deck is a lot of fun. And playing air has been a blast. And I'll be honest, I know some people may say take this Spear of Destiny Grosse Poltergeist combo out, and they would be correct, no doubt. But have you ever done this before? Because this is like a thrilling experience. And until next time, I hope to see you all at some point contesting the realm, and keep it cheesy. And yeah, see you later.